Now I first introduce myself, Tristan McGee. I'm the CEO of Maritime Risk International. I'm also ex-British Army with a range of operational experience. And I first take the opportunity to thank Jay, your team, and Allamikorea122 for your very kind invitation. Security threats in the business environment are ever present and all pervasive. Whether a business adopts a preventative approach to security threats, or indeed a responsive wait-and-see approach to the threats, depends on various factors. But one thing is for certain: security threats present an enduring cost to any business, and that is whether land-based or maritime. The rise of piracy off Somalia in 2008 focused attention on the need for industry guidance to assist companies and ships in avoiding piracy attacks, deterring the attacks, and also delaying the successful attacks. Today I will distill from the industry guidelines just some of the elements of the guidance as it relates to the Gulf of Guinea region of West Africa. Let us understand what we're dealing with. Piracy became problematic here in 2015, just a time when pirate attacks off East Africa had considerably reduced. By the first week of February, 6 people had been killed in pirate attacks, 58 held hostage during hijackings, and 3 had been kidnapped. Pirates operating in the Gulf of Guinea region have shown a propensity to be more violent than Somalia-based pirates, and will kill members of the crew to get what they want. As with pirates in other regions, their business model is simple. It includes armed robbery, cargo theft, and kidnapping for ransom. Cargo theft occurs often in or about ship-to-ship areas, where cargo is transferred between ships at sea. The crew is often forced to navigate to a remote location where the cargo can be siphoned from one vessel to another, alternatively to a storage facility on the land. These enterprises are very well organised, well conducted, and often involve land-based criminals. Kidnapping by pirates in the Gulf of Guinea is pursued mainly using high-powered speedboats. Victims can expect to receive brutal treatment. These operations are intelligence-led, they are very well coordinated and very well executed. Kidnapping provides a high return on the investment for pirates. The human cost and the economic cost of piracy in all maritime regions is simply staggering. For the Gulf of Guinea region alone in 2015, it is estimated that piracy costs ran to 720 to 750 million US dollars. For a ship about to enter a high-risk area, the first step towards addressing the threat of piracy is to perform a ship and voyage-specific risk assessment. The risk assessment should include at least 5 key aspects: threat, background factors that are shaping the situation, the possibilities for cooperation with the military, ship's vulnerabilities and capabilities to withstand the threat, and the ship's procedures. Factors to be considered in the risk assessment should include at least crew safety. This is a primary consideration. The freeboard, which is the distance from the level of the waterline up to the first deck level. Also speed and sea state. When considering the safety of the crew, care should always be taken to prevent pirates from boarding the ship, to prevent access to accommodation, to identify a safe muster point or a citadel or a safe area, and to afford ballistic protection, particularly for the bridge. If the freeboard for any part of the vessel is less than 8 meters, prevention measures against pirates boarding must be considered. If the vessel is unlikely to outrun a high-speed pirate vessel, prevention measures again must be considered. Pirates mount their attacks from very small craft, which makes it difficult for them to operate in sea states above the moderate. Where a ship enters a high-risk area with moderate sea state or below, alarm bells should ring and actions should be taken. Let me acquaint you with a few characteristics of the typical pirate attacks in all maritime regions. There will be the application of use of small, high-speed, open boats used in the attacks. The pirates will use small arms fire, rocket-propelled grenades, all very basic but very effective. They will use ladders, ropes, grappling hooks. One or more of the armed pirates will eventually board the vessel. Once on the bridge, the pirates will demand that the vessel is slowed or stopped, enabling further pirates to get on board. The risk assessment critically will determine the level of protection measures which should be installed or activated prior to entering the high-risk area. Physical barriers can be used to obstruct access to the vessels, a process that is known as hardening the vessel. Razor wire, for example, here, as you can see, creates an effective barrier. Water spray and foam monitors can also make it difficult for a pirate a craft to remain alongside a vessel, and significantly make it more difficult for a pirate to get on board. Water cannons, as seen here, can also be used to protect a greater part of the hull. The ballast pumps may also be used to flood the decks and provide water that is highly effective when the decks are filled, and it provides a stream over the edge of the deck area. The most effective protective measure against pirates are security guards. These are mostly provided by private companies. They are trained specifically to operate against piracy. Guards can be unarmed and they can be armed. Guards will, in the event of a pirate attack, oversee the protective measures, and they will make their presence known to the pirates, who invariably, when seen, they will then turn away. In summary, this brief review of security threats and the countermeasures in the maritime environment highlights some of the physical security principles also in land-based business environments. These will include: put the safety of your people first. Understand the vulnerabilities in protecting your people, but also your physical assets. Deploy threat assessment and effective intelligence to warn off an attack. Employ a risk management approach to physical security. And please, efficiency and economy must not rule your security response. And finally, I have not touched on anything to do with cybersecurity today. However, did you know that ships can now simply disappear? Thank you. Kamsahamnida.